Movement for the Kingdom of the People, or MKP, has risen to prominence, capturing the imagination and hopes of many South Africans. This party champions the cause of the people, advocating for radical change and promising to address long-standing issues that have plagued the nation. The MKP's rise to power is a testament to the growing discontent among the populace. People from all walks of life have rallied behind the party, seeking a new direction and a break from the status quo. The 2024 elections marked a turning point, with the MKP achieving a significant victory that reshaped the political landscape. The MKP's success was not just a political triumph, but a social movement. Their rallies were filled with passionate supporters waving flags and chanting slogans, all united by a common desire for change. The party's leaders, charismatic and determined, addressed the crowds with promises of a better future, one where the voices of the marginalized would be heard. This groundswell of support was driven by the MKP's commitment to addressing social issues head-on. They promised radical reforms, including land redistribution, economic justice, and greater transparency in government. These promises resonated deeply with communities that had long felt neglected and disenfranchised. The 2024 elections were a watershed moment. Voters turned out in record numbers, eager to cast their ballots for change. The MKP's victory was celebrated with jubilation across the country, as people danced in the streets and embraced the promise of a new beginning. With their newfound power, the MKP secured enough seats to force a coalition government. This was a significant achievement, as it meant that the party could now influence policy and drive their agenda forward. The coalition government, however, would not be without its challenges. The African National Congress, once the dominant force in South African politics, saw its support dwindle. For the first time since the end of apartheid, the ANC fell below 50%, a clear indication of the public's desire for change. The party's decline was a stark reminder of this shifting political landscape. The election results were a wake-up call for the ANC. Supporters, once loyal and steadfast, now looked dejected and uncertain about the future. The party's inability to address key issues had eroded its base, leaving it vulnerable to the rising tide of the MKP. The public's desire for change was palpable. Conversations in homes, workplaces, and public spaces revolved around the need for a new direction. The MKP's message of hope and transformation resonated deeply, inspiring people to believe that a better future was possible. Faced with the reality of their diminished support, the ANC had to form a coalition. They joined forces with the Democratic Alliance, the Economic Freedom Fighters, and the MKP. This coalition, though unlikely, was necessary to ensure a stable government and to address the pressing issues facing the nation. The coalition brought together leaders from diverse political backgrounds, each with their own vision for the future. The ANC, DA, EFF, and MKP had to find common ground and work together to navigate the complexities of governance. This coalition marks a turning point in South African history, as it represents a new era of collaboration and compromise. The inclusion of the MKP in the coalition is particularly significant. Their radical agenda, focused on land reform and economic justice, brings a new dynamic to the government. The party's leaders are determined to push for meaningful change, even if it means challenging the status quo. The MKP's presence in the coalition is a testament to the power of grassroots movements. Their supporters, who have long felt marginalized, now have a voice in the highest echelons of government. This is a moment of validation for many, as their struggles and aspirations are finally being acknowledged. One of the key issues the MKP is focused on is land reform. The party believes that addressing historical injustices related to land ownership is crucial for achieving economic justice. This stance has garnered both support and opposition, highlighting the contentious nature of the issue. The coalition government faces a monumental task. They must address the issues that have plagued South Africa for decades, including poverty, inequality, and land ownership. These challenges are deeply entrenched and will require bold and innovative solutions. Poverty remains a significant issue, with many South Africans living in informal settlements and struggling to make ends meet. The coalition government must find ways to uplift these communities and provide them with opportunities for a better life. Inequality is another pressing concern. The gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen, leading to social unrest and calls for economic justice. The coalition government must address these disparities to ensure a more equitable society. The world watches with bated breath as South Africa embarks on this new journey. International observers are keen to see how the coalition government will navigate the challenges ahead and whether they can deliver on their promises. Can this unlikely alliance succeed? Will the coalition government be able to overcome the obstacles and bring about the change that so many South Africans crave? These questions loom large as the nation moves forward. Despite the uncertainties, there is a sense of hope and optimism. South Africans are coming together, united by a common desire for a better future. Community members are working together to address local issues and support one another. South Africa is at a crossroads. The decisions made today will shape the nation's destiny for generations to come. The coalition government has a unique opportunity to create lasting change and build a more just and equitable society. As the sun sets over the South African landscape, the nation looks towards the horizon with hope and determination. The journey ahead will be challenging, but with unity and perseverance, South Africa can forge a brighter future for all its people. The MKP's rise is no accident. Their message resonates deeply with many South Africans. This is especially true for those who feel left behind by the post-apartheid government. The MKP's central policy is land reform. They call for the redistribution of land from the white minority to the black majority. This policy is inspired by events in other African nations. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have all seen movements for land reform. These movements challenge the legacy of colonialism. They aim to return land to its rightful owners, the indigenous populations. The MKP sees these movements as a model for South Africa. They argue that true liberation requires economic justice, and economic justice, they believe, starts with land ownership. The MKP's journey to parliament has been remarkable. From its humble beginnings as a grassroots movement, the MKP has grown into a formidable political force. Their rise has been fueled by a deep connection with the people, and a relentless focus on addressing the issues that matter most to ordinary South Africans. They have tapped into a deep well of frustration and anger. This discontent has been simmering for years, as many South Africans feel left behind by the promises of the post-apartheid era. The MKP has given voice to these frustrations, channeling them into a powerful political movement. This is particularly evident in places like Marikana. Marikana, a mining town, has become a symbol of the struggle for economic justice in South Africa. The people here have faced tremendous hardships, and their plight has resonated with many across the country. Marikana was the site of a tragic massacre in 2012. On that fateful day, police opened fire on striking miners, resulting in the deaths of 34 workers. This event shocked the nation and brought international attention to the struggles of South Africa's working class. Police opened fire on striking miners. The miners were demanding better wages and working conditions, but their peaceful protest was met with brutal force. The massacre highlighted the deep inequalities and injustices that still plague South African society. This event exposed the deep inequalities that still exist in South Africa. Despite the end of apartheid, many South Africans continue to live in poverty, while a small elite enjoys immense wealth. The Marikana massacre brought these issues to the forefront of the national consciousness. It also highlighted the government's failure to address these inequalities. The ruling party, the ANC, has been criticized for its inability to deliver on its promises of economic justice and social equality. This has created a fertile ground for new political movements like the MKP. The MKP capitalized on this discontent. They positioned themselves as the true champions of the people, promising to fight for the rights of the marginalized and to bring about real change. Their message resonated with many who felt abandoned by the traditional political parties. They campaigned vigorously in areas like Marikana. The MKP's grassroots approach, with leaders and volunteers going door to door to speak with residents, helped them build a strong base of support. They listened to the concerns of the people and promised to take action. Their message of radical change found a receptive audience. People were eager for a new direction, and the MKP's bold proposals for economic reform and social justice struck a chord. Their rallies drew large crowds, and their supporters were passionate and vocal. By-election results showed the MKP's growing support. In several key constituencies, they made significant gains, often at the expense of the ANC. This was a clear indication that the political landscape in South Africa was shifting. They made significant gains, particularly in the Northwest Province. This region, which includes Marikana, has been a stronghold of the MKP. Their success here demonstrated their ability to connect with voters on a personal level and to address the specific issues facing different communities. In Marikana itself, they won a resounding victory. This was a symbolic triumph, as Marikana had become a focal point of their campaign. The people of Marikana saw the MKP as their champions, and their overwhelming support was a testament to the party's impact. This victory demonstrated the MKP's ability to connect with voters. Their leaders were seen as approachable and genuine, and their commitment to addressing the needs of the people earned them widespread respect and admiration. It also showed the waning power of the ANC. The ruling party, which had dominated South African politics for decades, was losing its grip. The MKP's rise signaled a new era in South African politics, one in which the voices of the people could no longer be ignored. The MKP's success sent shockwaves through the political establishment. Analysts and commentators were quick to note the significance of their victories, and the media coverage brought even more attention to the party's message and goals. It was a clear sign that the old order was crumbling. The traditional power structures were being challenged, and the MKP was at the forefront of this transformation. Their rise represented a shift towards a more inclusive and equitable political landscape. A new generation of South Africans was demanding change. Young people, in particular, were drawn to the MKP's vision of a better future. They were tired of the status quo and eager to be part of a movement that promised real progress, and the MKP was there to lead the charge. With their bold ideas and unwavering commitment to justice, they have inspired a new wave of political activism. The MKP's ascent to power is a testament to the enduring spirit of the South African people and their desire for a brighter future. The coalition government faces a daunting task. Formed from a diverse array of political parties, each with its own unique ideologies and priorities, the coalition must navigate a complex political landscape. The challenge is not just to govern, but to do so in a way that respects the diverse viewpoints within the coalition while addressing the pressing needs of the nation. They must find a way to bridge their differences. This requires not only political acumen but also a willingness to compromise and collaborate. The leaders must engage in continuous dialogue, seeking common ground on contentious issues. This is no small feat, given the historical tensions and differing visions for the country's future. They must unite behind a common vision for South Africa. Their agenda is ambitious. It aims to address long-standing issues that have plagued the nation for decades. From economic disparities to social injustices, the coalition's plan seeks to create a more equitable and prosperous society for all South Africans. It includes plans for land reform, economic revitalization, and anti-corruption measures. These are not just policy points but are seen as essential steps towards healing the nation. Land reform, in particular, is a deeply emotional and politically charged issue, reflecting the historical injustices of the past. Land reform is perhaps the most contentious issue. The legacy of apartheid has left a significant portion of the population without access to land, a critical resource for economic empowerment. The coalition's plan aims to address this imbalance, but the path forward is fraught with challenges. The MKP has made it clear that they will not compromise on this point. They believe that radical redistribution is necessary to correct historical wrongs and to provide opportunities for those who have been marginalized. Their stance has garnered both support and criticism, highlighting the deep divisions within the country. They demand a radical redistribution